Hello, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee and welcome to this video. Thank you for joining me today. This is the card we're making. Isn't it lovely? It's this little truck card. Be great for a kid's birthday. And you've got these different patterns here and I've just paper pierced these trucks together. So let me show you how I did it. We're going to do a slightly different colourway. Previous time I did Real Red, Daffodil Delight and Azure Blue. This time I'm doing Azure Blue, Pumpkin Pie and Granny Apple Green, I think it is. So I'm getting all my pieces together here. I've got here some of my designer series paper, and this is from the Brights family stack. I'm going to be punching out using the trucking along punch, and you can see here I'm just going to be punching out a little truck from each of the different colours. So there is Azure Blue, and now I'm just going to punch out here from the Pumpkin Pie, and then here from the Granny Apple Green, and I'm just making sure I'm varying my patterns and also the direction that I want my little truck to go in. In Afrikaans we used to say this was a bakkie, and my grandmother used to drive one of these right up until she died. So little bakkies always mean a lot to me. There I've just punched the windows from Balmy Blue cardstock. Now I'm going to take a scrap of basic black. I'm going to punch all my little wheels out. So we need quite a few wheels. We need 6 little wheels. And I'm just sort of trying to find the way here to use up the least amount of paper, being me. And this is a great way to use up scraps of cardstock to make things like this. But you don't need a lot to make each little truck. You just need a little bit. So now we're going to take some basic grey cardstock, and we're just going to punch out the little wheel arches, and you can see me just cutting little bits out to get it into the base of the punch. Now this punch does have a matching stamp set called the Trucking Along stamp set, so you can stamp your little truck, and it's a 2-step stamping stamp set, so you can stamp and colour your truck or colour it in with your favourite colouring medium. And there's a whole lot of it's a Christmas set with a whole lot of extra pieces, but I wanted to use this for a birthday. I wanted to show you, even though it's designed primarily as Christmas, it doesn't have to be just for Christmas. It can be used for anything. So now I'm just getting rid of all my bits of scrap of paper, and we'll be ready to start to put our little trucks together. So I'm going to get my silicone mat, because it's always going to help to try and contain all the mess and hopefully stop the glue from going everywhere. So I'm going to start off here and get my little Tombow, because I find this gives me a little bit of wriggle room, though you can use your favourite adhesive. I do find the Tombow is the easiest for something like this, and I'm just using a pair of reverse tweezers, and you can see here I'm just putting down my little window, and this doing it with a reverse tweezers just tries to help you from getting your fingers in the glue. I won't say that I'm totally successful, because my fingers and glue seem to have a magnetic attraction. I don't know about you. Do you always find yourself covered in glue however hard you try? Let me know in the comments below. I certainly do. If you've seen any of my videos, you'll know that I always seem to get, however hard I try, I do seem to get glue where I don't want it, and it's usually on me rather than on my project. But there we go. So now we're just putting down our little wheels. Oh, these trucks are just so cute. You could do so many things with this. If you've got a kid who likes, cars, etc., then you could have a whole little party, themed around a stamp set like this, and you could just stamp their little goodie bags, and you could stamp and make the little invitations and all sorts of stuff. The world is your oyster. Just use your imagination, and you can do anything you like. I think our imaginations are one of our greatest assets that we have, so don't be afraid to dream. and use that imagination. I always loved as a kid. I remember using my I used to love horses, but I didn't have any fences for them to jump over, my little ponies. So I remember using old cassette tapes to make my walls for my ponies to jump over, and I had no fences. So I remember taking old toilet rolls and then took two of them and stuck coloured pencils between the two of them, and I made my fences for my horses to jump over. So just use your imagination and be free, and it can take you to many a wonderful place. There we go. So all of our little buckies our trucks are all pierced together, as you can see. Now our card base is basic grey, so a standard A6 card base. That's an A4 sheet cut in half and then fold in half. And then I'm going to put a piece here of basic white cardstock that measures 14.35 centimetres by 10, and we're just going to put that as an insert. And then I've got another piece that measures the same, and as you can see I put it through an embossing folder, and that's the metal plate embossing folder, and this just gives it some extra texture and interest in the background, and I think it's actually a lot of fun because it mimics the metal you might find on a car. You know, sometimes you have a ridged surface on some of the on the pedals and stuff, so it's quite fun. So now we're going to do a quick bit of stamping, and we're using a stamp set called Sweetest Cherries, and this is just for the sentiment that says happy birthday. And you can see here I decided first on Real Reading, but then I swapped my mind to Azure Blue. Azure Afternoon, I should rather say, not Azure Blue. It is a blue, but the name is Azure Afternoon. There we stamped our sentiment. We're going to set that aside. Now we're going to create a place for our little trucks to rest. And I've got a little piece here of basic white cardstock, and this measures 7 centimetres by 4 centimetres, and I'm matting it on a relevant a matching piece of designer series paper, a cardstock, 7.5 by 4.5 centimetres. So we've got Azure Afternoon, Pumpkin Pie and Granny Apple Green. So now let's cut out our sentiment, bring in our trimmer and just do a quick little trim. As you know, I love to cut out my sentiments and stuff just with my trimmer. I find it so freeing, not needing a die or anything extra, just using the trimmer, and it's just so much faster, and I find it easier. And I think I find it also easier that you don't have to have yet another piece of equipment. You just use your trimmer and off you go. Okay, so we're ready to assemble our cards. So let's put down our little panels here. So we've got here our Granny Apple Green, and then we've got our Azure Afternoon. You can see I'm just using the Tombow because you need a strong adhesive with all the texture underneath it. You can see here I think I've got them too close to each other, so because the Tombow hasn't set yet I can just move everything around. Now I'll give it a press down. Now it'd be much more difficult to move it about. So let's bring in our little trucks, turn them on their back sides, and we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of each of them so they stand popped up, so everything's not totally flat on our card. So let's take those backings off. Whoops. And then we've got our one little truck. Take this backings off. There's the next one, and there's the last one. And now I'm just seeing where I want to put my sentiment. Down there we'll go, and I'm going to just use some edges from my dimensionals to use up all of your dimensionals, including the edges. Edges are fantastic for things like this. And we're just going to tuck a little sentiment in here so it sort of lies between the window and the wheels. There we go, all done and dusted. So there are the two cards. Now I'm just adding a little bit with a white pen, some highlights here and there, as you can see, and this I think really does lift and bring together the whole project. So if you've enjoyed this video, I'd be grateful if you could give it a thumbs up to YouTube now, and don't forget the links to my website and all my social media links are in the description box below. So thank you again, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye.